The room was modest, lit by a single bulb that flickered as though unsure of its own existence. Liam sat on the edge of a creaking bed, staring at his worn shoes. He'd been through dozens of interviews in the past month, all ending in polite rejections or outright dismissals. The ad for a housekeeping job at a private estate had seemed too good to be true. A millionaire's mansion? It sounded like a dream or a trap. Still, desperation had outweighed skepticism, and here he was, clutching the address scribbled on a crumpled piece of paper. The estate loomed ahead, all sharp angles and sprawling gardens, a testament to unimaginable wealth. Liam hesitated at the gate, feeling like an imposter in his thrift store blazer. A uniformed staff member escorted him inside, their practiced smile betraying no emotion. In the grand foyer, his steps echoed against marble floors. Chandeliers glittered above, their crystals casting fractal rainbows across the walls. Liam felt small, insignificant in the face of such opulence. Then he saw him, Nicholas Grayson, the elusive millionaire. Nicholas was seated on a leather armchair, his presence commanding without effort. His tailored suit fit like a second skin, and his piercing blue eyes carried an intensity that unsettled Liam. He looked up from a tablet, studying Liam with a gaze that felt both appraising and dismissive. "You're the new applicant?" Nicholas's voice was deep, with an edge of impatience. "Yes, sir." Liam managed his throat dry. Nicholas gestured to a chair across from him. "Sit." Liam obeyed, his heart pounding. The interview was brief, but unervingly direct. Nicholas asked about his experience, his availability, and his reasons for applying. Liam answered honestly, admitting he was struggling to make ends meet. "Honesty. That's rare," Nicholas remarked, his tone unreadable. "I'll give you a trial period. Prove yourself, and we'll discuss something more permanent." Relief washed over Liam, but Nicholas's next words tempered it. "I demand perfection. This house is my sanctuary, and I won't tolerate incompetence. Understood?" "Yes, sir," Liam said again, wondering if he'd made a mistake. Over the next few days, Liam threw himself into his work. The mansion was a labyrinth of spotless rooms, each one more extravagant than the last. He rarely saw Nicholas, but when their paths crossed, the man's gaze lingered, as if he were trying to decipher Liam's thoughts. One evening, Liam was polishing a glass sculpture when Nicholas appeared, leaning casually against the doorway. "You're meticulous," Nicholas said, almost approvingly. Liam straightened, unsure how to respond. "I try to do my best." Nicholas's lips curved into a faint smile, one that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Good. I expect more than just cleaning from you." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Liam's pulse quickened, a mix of curiosity and apprehension stirring within him. And just like that, the dynamic shifted, leaving Liam to wonder what, exactly, he'd signed up for. The days at the estate unfolded like a carefully choreographed performance. Liam learned the rhythms of his new world, the silent bustle of staff, the endless polishing of surfaces that gleamed under chandeliers, and the whispers of opulence in every corner. Yet, amid this predictable routine, one presence was anything but ordinary. Nicholas Grayson was a paradox. At times, he exuded an aloof detachment, his sharp commands a reminder of the chasm between employer and employee. Yet there were moments, fleeting but undeniable, when his guarded exterior cracked, revealing a man weighed down by something unspoken. It was during one such moment that their dynamic began to shift. Liam had been tasked with organizing Nicholas's study, a cavernous room filled with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves and an air of intellectual solitude. As Liam worked, Nicholas entered silently, his footsteps muffled by the Persian rug. "You read?" Nicholas asked, his voice softer than usual. Liam turned, startled by the question. "When I have time, yes." Nicholas gestured to a nearby shelf. "Take one. They shouldn't just collect dust." Liam hesitated but eventually selected a leather-bound volume. "Thank you, sir. Call me Nicholas," he said, the formality between them bending ever so slightly. From that day, their conversations grew longer, straying from superficial pleasantries into deeper, more personal territories. Nicholas spoke of his childhood, a privileged yet lonely existence shaped by absent parents and unrelenting expectations. Liam, in turn, shared fragments of his own struggles, painting a picture of resilience forged through hardship. As the walls between them lowered, Nicholas's gestures of kindness became more frequent. A plate of food left in the kitchen with a note, "You work too hard." A rare smile, warm enough to make Liam's pulse quicken. Yet, these moments were shadowed by an undercurrent of tension, as if Nicholas was holding something back. One evening, the tension broke. Nicholas had invited Liam to join him for a late-night drink in the garden. The moonlight bathed the sprawling grounds in a silver glow, and the air hummed with the scent of jasmine. "You've surprised me," Nicholas admitted, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. "How so?" Liam asked, wary of the sudden intimacy. "You see people for who they are, not what they have. That's rare in my world." The sincerity in Nicholas's voice left Liam speechless. For a moment, he thought he saw vulnerability in those piercing blue eyes, a hint of longing he couldn't place. But before he could respond, Nicholas leaned back, his expression hardening once more. "I'll expect you in my office tomorrow evening," Nicholas said, his tone suddenly clipped. "There's something important we need to discuss." The shift was jarring, leaving Liam unsettled. He nodded, watching as Nicholas disappeared into the shadows of the mansion. Alone under the moonlight, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that whatever Nicholas wanted from him, it would change everything. The next evening, Liam stood outside Nicholas's office, his knuckles poised to knock. His heart raced, though he couldn't pinpoint why. Something about the way Nicholas had looked at him in the garden, equal parts yearning and restraint, lingered in his mind. Taking a deep breath, he knocked, the sound echoing in the quiet corridor. "Come in," Nicholas's voice called from within. The office was dimly lit, the scent of aged leather and cedarwood enveloping the space. Nicholas sat behind an expansive mahogany desk, his figure bathed in the warm glow of a desk lamp. He gestured for Liam to sit without looking up from a stack of papers. "You've done well here," Nicholas began, finally meeting Liam's gaze. "Better than I expected." "Thank you, sir." "Nicholas," Liam replied cautiously, sensing an edge to his employer's tone. Nicholas leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. "But I didn't hire you just for your work ethic. There's something you need to know." The room seemed to close in on Liam as he braced for what was coming. Nicholas's expression was unreadable, his words deliberate. "When I saw your application, I recognized your name." Nicholas's voice was calm, yet it carried an undercurrent of something darker. "Your father used to work for my family." The revelation hit Liam like a physical blow. He stared at Nicholas, struggling to process the words. "My father?" Liam repeated, his voice barely above a whisper. Nicholas nodded. He was loyal, hardworking. But he made a mistake. A costly one. "My family lost a significant amount of money because of him, and he paid the price." Liam's mind reeled. His father had always been a shadowy figure in his past, a man who had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Now, Nicholas's words painted a grim picture, one that explained the whispers and half-truths he'd grown up with. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" Liam demanded, anger rising in his chest. "Because I wanted to see who you were," Nicholas admitted, his tone softening. "At first, I thought hiring you might be a way to settle an old score. But then," he trailed off, his gaze dropping to the desk. "But then what?" Liam pressed, his voice shaking. Nicholas looked up, his eyes filled with something Liam couldn't quite place. "Regret? Shame? But then I realized you're not your father. You're different." The words hung in the air, their weight almost suffocating. Liam stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. "So, this was all a test? A game to satisfy your curiosity?" "No," Nicholas said firmly, rising to his feet. "It was never a game. But I won't deny that I used you in the beginning." Liam's jaw tightened, betrayal flooding his veins. "I trusted you." Nicholas stepped closer, his voice low and urgent. "And I'm asking for that trust again. Please let me explain. But Liam was already at the door, his heart pounding as he stepped into the hallway. Whatever Nicholas had to say, it felt too late. Liam spent the next few days avoiding Nicholas, burying himself in work to drown out the storm of emotions within him. The betrayal cut deep, each memory of their shared moments now laced with bitterness. Every kind word, every fleeting glance, felt like part of an elaborate charade. Yet, despite his anger, he couldn't ignore the ache in his chest whenever he thought of Nicholas's plea. On the third night, as Liam scrubbed the marble floors of the grand foyer, Nicholas appeared at the top of the staircase. His figure was silhouetted against the dim light, his usual composure replaced with something raw and unguarded. "Liam," he called softly, his voice carrying an unfamiliar vulnerability. Liam hesitated, gripping the cloth in his hand like a lifeline. "I don't think we have anything left to say." Nicholas descended the stairs slowly, his gaze never leaving Liam's. "We do. You just don't want to hear it." Liam stood, his posture rigid. "Why should I? You lied to me. You used me." Nicholas stopped a few feet away, his expression pained. "I did, and I regret it more than you can imagine. But you need to understand. This wasn't just about your father." "Then what was it about?" Liam demanded, his voice trembling. Nicholas hesitated, the silence stretching between them. "At first, it was about closure. I wanted to confront the past, to make sense of what happened. But then I got to know you, and everything changed." Liam's defenses faltered at the raw sincerity in Nicholas's words. "And what am I supposed to do with that? Pretend it never happened?" "No," Nicholas said firmly. "You don't have to forgive me, but I need you to know the truth. Your father wasn't entirely to blame for what happened. My family used him as a scapegoat to protect their reputation. I've lived with that guilt my whole life." Liam stared at him, his anger giving way to confusion. "Why didn't you tell me this sooner?" "Because I was afraid," Nicholas admitted. "Afraid you'd hate me. Afraid you'd leave before I could make things right." The vulnerability in Nicholas's voice cracked something inside Liam. He wanted to hold on to his anger, to the sense of betrayal that had fueled him for days. But beneath it all, he saw the same man who had shown him unexpected kindness, who had made him feel seen in ways no one else had. "I don't know if I can forgive you," Liam said finally, his voice quiet but steady. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," Nicholas replied. "Just a chance to prove I'm not the man you think I am." The words hung between them, a fragile bridge over a chasm of mistrust. Liam didn't respond, but as he turned and walked away, he paused at the door, glancing back over his shoulder. "Don't waste that chance," he said, leaving Nicholas standing alone, hope flickering in his eyes.